because the pool of Siloam was next to the temple. It was very close to the Jerusalem temple. So the priest goes and take the water from the pool of Siloam and then take it to the temple inside and pour it into the altar. This would be continuing for 6-7 days of the same Sukkot festival. When they start until the finishing of that festival, they'll continue. One of the main thing in this one is that during the season of the water libation period, they will light the Jerusalem temple, which you would never imagine that much of lights. Miles and miles apart, they can see the Jerusalem temple. They used to have the 4 big bowls, the big stand, and they pour the oil inside that stand, and they keep these 4 pillars of this oil stand on the 4 corners of the temple, or 4 sides of the temple. And then they place a wick inside the oil. How they make this wick? These wicks are made with the garment of the priesthood garment. The high priest garments are used to make this one. Usually in the high priest garment, you would never see a seaming inside. It's a one-piece cloth. If anything happened or any mistake or anything happened, if the priest torn the cloths or something, you would see there's a stitching inside the cloths if he stitched the cloth. So that will disqualify from his priesthood position. Caiaphas did the same thing. When he torn his clothing, and he was absolutely disqualified from the chief priest position. So what they will do, they will take the cloth, tear the cloth into 4 pieces, and they will literally make that as a wick and then keep inside the oil bowl, huge big bowl of oil, and then they burn them as like a candles or like a lights. These lights will burn for 7 days. It's huge big light. Everybody can do this one, observe this one. You know, folks, the priesthood, high priesthood is not an easy thing. You know, they should maintain their sanctity when they are performing this one. Do you remember when Jesus Christ was crucified on the cross, his clothes were torn into, and then it was divided into 4 pieces. Imagine that. See, the priesthood clothings are torn into 4 pieces. See, the earthly clothings, you know, nobody cares about this one. But it is about the heavenly clothings. The priesthood is clothed by 2 things. One is they should never be naked, and the second is the offerings. What the offering they give. Yesterday I posted one thing about the Sukkot festival, how they do with the lula, which is called the palm trees, the young stem of the palm tree, and the etrog, the fruit, and the trees, leaves of willow tree and leaves of myrtle tree. So the etrog represents the heart, which is that anything you do, you must do with your full heart. Anything, any work you do, you must do with your full heart. Especially if it is a divine kingdom work, they have to offer everything from the heart. To represent the heart, the etrog was there. And then we talked about the other branch stem, which is the branch of the lula or palm tree, which represent the structure, the backbone. See, it's a one-pole structure. Every organ is attached in one pole. That is the lula tree. All the organs are attached into that structure. And the third one is myrtle one. Myrtle leaves, which represent the eyes of the human body. And then the willow tree leaves represent the mouth or of the of the human body. So these organs are very, very important when you offer to God. When we go into the God presence, you have to be, offering these things with the full sanctification. You know, your heart must be so clean so that you will be offering your vision, your speeches, and the whole body structure so pure that you will offer into the, that's why they wave that one in the 4 directions and then they pray to God. Offering is not an easy thing. It is not that you can easily offer anything. Offering is very, very tough one that we must understand how we offer to the God. We cannot go to God, and sometimes we go to God as if, we offer some offerings. We think that nobody is watching us. But God watches us. All the time, God is watching us. It is about the heavenly clothing. We have to have the righteousness in our body. We need to clothe ourselves with the righteousness, and we need to offer ourselves. In the Garden of Eve, Adam and Eve, before sinning, they were clothed with the righteousness. When God has given the righteousness clothing, the glory was there on them. So they were shining with the glory, so they could not able to see each other. It was just a light on them. That's why they could not able to see the nakedness of each other. They couldn't realize it because the clothing of the God's glory was there with them. Even when Moses was in the Mount Moriah, and when he talked and we came back, people couldn't able to see his face because he was so shining, because the God's glory was on him. God's righteousness fell on him. So he was wearing the clothing of God's righteousness. So that type of clothing, that type of righteousness clothing that we must obtain when we go into the heavens. That's what God is talking about. If you are worried about the earthly clothing, the heavenly clothings are the glorious one, the righteous one, the shining, God's glorious, righteous clothing. That's what God is expecting us to, clothe ourselves when we reach there. But in order to do that one, we have to make sure that what is our heart, how is our mouth, and what is our eyes, and what is our body structure and other organs, how we are doing that one. The sanctification process, right? So this is to represent all those things they did in those days. So the water libation process was there for 7 days completely. And the 8th day, so look at this one. This is a tradition which was not mentioned in the Bible commandments or nowhere. It was just a tradition which was brought in by the Pharisees, and Sadducees never accepted this tradition at all, but the Pharisees were celebrating this one as a water libation processes. And now, at the end of these processes, on the 8th day, Jesus comes in and he startled them, and he make them, surprised, because on the 8th day there was no water libation. But Jesus stood up and he said that I am the living water. Whoever drink in me will never thirst anymore. So he was telling them, he broke that tradition, the water libation processes, explaining them, he is the living water. Whoever drink in him will never get thirsty on them. So this one surprised the Jewish people on those days. This one made them into different thinking and different already Jesus was creating a lot of issues with them. So this is also one of the reasons that they were looking into what he was talking is right. So the tradition was there, some created a time which was not mentioned in the Bible at all, but the Pharisees created this tradition. Likewise, our denominations followed multi-million traditions in us. We just copied so many things and we trying to use it all the time in our thing. So after time, it changes, See, even the worshipping thing, look at this worshipping nowadays. I don't understand this. I don't understand this style. We never had this one before, on the previous days. Those days it was, so solemn, and it was so soothing. It was nice. But now it's of all about just the dancing and singing, and we bring in so many cultural traditions inside that one. Whatever you do in this world, but the Bible talks about that one, that we must be submitting and surrendering our body as the, bride for the, um, as just like a virgin bride to the groom who is going to come for the second time in this world. Folk, water libation. You might have not heard about this process, which has been conducted for 7 days, and it is only completely about the Jewish, one of the Jewish festivals, and it is conducted through the time of the Sukkot, the Feast of Tabernacles. This is very, very important festival, folks. I kept on insisting on this one. You may have this one to just to have information sake. Today, America is reviving with the Messianic Jewish people. The Jewish people are turning into Messianic Jewish people right now. There are a lot of Jewish people accepting Jesus Christ as Messiah, and they're starting their own preaching and teaching in the Messianic way, which is expected one, because the opportunity was given to us in very big time. God was expecting us that we will be preaching and teaching, and we will be giving light to the Jewish people, but we failed in that one, absolutely failed in that one. But even then, at least in these last days, let us join together, let us graft into the right system, understand, and so that it will give you a lot of insights. All the ritual procedures are talking definitely about the second coming of Jesus. Everything is attached with that one. Any procedure you talk about, any ritual thing, everything is just attached to the second coming of Jesus Christ. So I encourage you to, yourself think loudly, and I want you to be, engaged in these type of things, so that you will be prepared, you will be sanctify yourself, you will become a person who can understand the Jerusalem, the upcoming second coming of Jesus Christ. And the world is now getting ready. There is no way that the world can escape from it. We are at the last minute fighting each other how to get into this, kingdom of God. As the prophecy said, in these last days, the world will be turned into the same type of the world when Sodom, Gomorrah, or the time of the Lot, what happened. And it is exactly happening right now. It is all the Sodom, Gomorrah things right now it's going on through. So we can expect any moment, any time, God's coming will be there on this earth. So in that time, God will be looking into us. He's going to look into our heart, and He's going to look into the Torahs. He's going to look into the commandments. He's going to look into all the other, procedures that we have followed or not followed. It is not just about that we pay some money, or we just give some donations to somebody. It's not like that, folks. There are so many things that we do not know, so that we may be sinning ourselves. Because unless if you don't know the rules and protocols, basically we will be sinning. So that's why I'm encouraging you to give focus, give much more interest in this one, because God is true, Jesus is true, Jehovah is true, and this Messiah coming for the second time, it's going to be true. And so until I come back with another Torah, I think probably I'm preaching and teaching on 28th of this month in the Jewish synagogue there, gatherings. And until then, I have to make some Torah portions for the upcoming new year, because the Simkara or Simtakara, something I forgot. So the beginning of the recycling of the beginning of the Torah is coming up. So I'll be teaching and preaching the new Torah portions on the coming days. And on 28th, I'm preaching on the Jewish community. So until then, until I come back and see you guys, let you guys have a happy week, Shabbat Shalom and Shavua Tov. May God give